y'all, I'm a little bit drunk. I got to see my family for the first time in 6 years, so it's happy feelings. It's good feelings. I'm going to be leaving for about a week, so this video is going to be a little something to hold you over because I'm going to go on a little trip with my family to celebrate and to be together. It's going to be the first time in 6 years that I've seen some of them, so I'm so excited. I can't tell you how happy I am right now, but I want to talk to y'all about flowers. And I want to talk to y'all specifically about lilies. There are a lot of plants with a lot of great myths tied to them. Specifically this bad boy over here, which is tied to some South American folklore. For those of you that know the myth that I'm talking about, can you please post it in the comments? I want to talk about it in another plant. I want to talk about the plants on like a wider scale. This is going to be like a little mini flower lilies video. Not focusing on all the plants in this video, but because the pothos thing is so cool. But I'm focusing on lilies. There's so many fucking lilies in this game from all different cultures and regions of the world. There's just like the regular white lily that that I'm gonna start with because it's pretty prolific in Western belief systems. In Greek mythology, it has to do with Hera, who is Zeus's wife, and it has to do with rebirth, which is really cool. And then in Christianity, it has to do with the Virgin Mary and the sense of purity because she conceived Christ as a virgin. And then there's also this association with rebirth in Christianity, and when Christ was resurrected, like during the resurrection, during Easter, you'll typically see churches or communities set up white lilies to kind of like represent that relationship with life and death and rebirth. So there's this sense of purity and of new beginnings oftentimes associated with this. So it's cool because there's a lot of characters. Obviously there's this cycle of life and death in Elden Ring, but and also the Tarnished are originally dead, but they've been resurrected to help the Erd Tree and to follow the guidance of grace. But there is also this imagery of this cycle of life and death that we see in the game. So that's cool too. So there's like kind of a double meaning going on here with like a lot of these life and death and rebirth items. And then there's also the Calla Lily, which appears in Malenia's boss room. I keep wanting to say Michaela's boss room. There's Calla Lilies that appear in the boss room and also above the boss room, and Calla Lilies are typically given to people in mourning. People who are mourning, they're typically given at funerals, which is really sad, but they represent like lilies on a large level, like St. Trina's lily and Michaela's lily are representing purification here, like that Virgin Mary, the purification, the new beginning, rebirth, you know, all that business, right? All that business that I've been talking about. I'm so drunk, I'm sorry y'all. I hope you're following. But something really cool is that the Wraith Caller bells, the guys on the horses, that like the horses like are going really fast and the guy's like ringing his bell, is a little Calla Lily and he's summoning spirits with it. That's so cool. It's like such a cool little nod. It's a cool little nod. And it's also cool to see them present in the boss room too. So we love it. We love to see it. There is the Lily of the Valley, which strengthens our spirit ashes, which is really cool. And you can see this little spirit coming out of the lily, like praying to the little buds. And there's also this theme of buds with Malenia's questline too, which I'll get into in a little bit. But up here we got the spider lily, which, thank you Fextra, I totally took this. But the spider lily represents the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, and the cycle of samsara, which is in Buddhism, it's the cycle of rebirth. So we have all these cool lilies and the cycle of life and death and rebirth. Where am I getting at with this? The centipede half marks, it's like an Ouroboros, but with centipedes. We love to see it because Miyazaki actually used centipedes in one of his other games in Sekiro. The centipedes are seen as like a pest in Japanese mythology, and they're also seen as being very venomous or poisonous. So you can see this process, this pure process of life and death and rebirth being tainted or poisoned by these monks who are trying to achieve immortality. And the Ouroboros as well, the snake that's eating its own tail, is often interpreted as a symbol for the eternal cyclical renewal or a cycle of life and death, death and rebirth. So we have this like combination of symbols between how it's used in Japanese mythology and in Sekiro, with these tainted monks, these tainted like Buddhist monks who are trying to become immortal until it survived past. They don't want to join the cycle of life and death. They want to just keep living. So they're using these centipedes. And we also see it here, this cycle of life and death and rebirth depicted in the half centipede twin marks. And one of the marks specifically focuses on the body, and one of the marks specifically focuses on the soul. So we have, you know, these two different marks. And the reason why I believe that he's using centipedes here is because the original Rune of Death, I'm assuming, okay, so wait, hold on, let me find it in my massive garbage. Here we go. So the original Elden Ring looked like this. There are 4 circles and they're evenly distributed. Oops. Here. The Fire Giant's casting sigil also has 4 circles. It looks like 4 stars, like perfectly distributed in like a cross formation. And we see that here in the early Elden Ring. And then we also see the cool double helix mark that is coming down the center right here. We know that the double helix is associated with Elden stars, which is like the meteorite that came down. The double helix can also be, Cooper's gonna snore, also be symbolic of the twin birds or 2 beings that are coming to the lands between. I don't know why there aren't more, or what, but I don't know why this double helix, it shows up fucking everywhere. If you keep your eyes open for this shit, you'll see it all over the place. You'll see it in casting spells, you'll see it on swords, like the fucking Glomide Queen's sword is like a big double helix. It's everywhere. It's a symbol that you should definitely look out for. It could be the twin birds, it could be something else, I don't know, but it's important. I'm here to tell you that I'm so drunk, but I'm scared. I'm scared and I'm worried. But these 4 rings were evenly distributed, and then there's obviously the little statue of who I'm assuming is Marika, because she has the same hairstyle as the depiction of some of the twins with the little like laurels in the hair and like kind of the wavy hair texture. It looks like a little Marika. It does. It simply does. It might not be though. We never know. But we do know that this picture was taken from a long time ago. I mean, it was taken in the present, but the picture was made, the Farum Azula was made a long time ago. So we have these 4 things evenly distributed, but in the more recent Elden Ring, it's actually been shifted where I don't know if it was the southernmost rune that was moved or if it was the northern. It would have to be the southern one, right? Because of this top one. So that would move here. And then this becomes the anchor rune, the one in the middle. So there is a rune that originally was here and then it gets moved up here. I think this is significant because we also know in legend that one of the great runes was sealed away by Queen Marika. I don't know if that's the death rune or if this is Marika's rune becoming the sigil of the anchor of all concepts, like she's in the middle now, or if it's we absorbed the Great Rune of Death into the Erd Tree. I don't know what it means, but what I do know is that we see this like transition to this shape around the time that Marika marries Godfrey, and Godfrey becomes the Elden Lord because his Crucible Knights, their casting sigil is the first instance in which we see this design, although it doesn't have the Radagon cross hatches anywhere in it. The cross hatches come from Radagon specifically. For those of you that can't see, they're like these hatches that are like in the background. My art, I don't have a tablet. Oh, it's these things. And I'll get into what I think those things are in another video. But I find it super interesting that this thing has changed shape, because the Great Rune of Death should just look like any other Great Rune, right? It should just be like a circle. But the reason why it has this, thank you, Cooper. The reason why it has this centipede imagery or this pest imagery is because it is showing or depicting this tampering, this artificial tampering or manipulation of something that should have been pure and left alone. I think that the centipede curse mark could represent this relationship with the Rune of Death being manipulated. So instead of having the original pure Rune of Death, we now are left with a new updated Rune of Death, which becomes Fia's whole quest line, where she is trying to manipulate the Erdtree into letting those who live with death continue to live forever. They don't get persecuted, they don't get killed, and to me, that shares a lot of symbolism with these Buddhist monks who are being overtaken by the centipedes because they get to live forever. They don't have to go through the cycle of life and death anymore. That's really similar to those who live in death. They just don't die, I'm assuming. Or rather, they don't get persecuted by people in the Golden Order. Cooper's gonna bark. Oh my god. Fuck. Anyway, I'm so sorry about that. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, moving on to the Brahma lotus. In Hindu mythology, Brahma... I'm gonna burp. I'm so drunk, stop. Stop burping. Okay, the Brahma lotus was created out of nothingness. It represents its beauty, supreme perfection. In addition, the Brahma Kamal symbolizes the supreme soul and spiritual energy of God. Is used for meditation purposes, helps one attain peace and tranquility. It is believed to have medicinal properties. It is said to help cure diseases like leprosy, tuberculosis, asthma, and other respiratory problems. We know somebody with leprosy in the game. It's called the rot curse or whatever. It's Malenia. It's her. She is the Brahma lotus, and it's cool that this is kind of like her symbol because she actually achieves enlightenment through the blue fairy. So I talked about this a little bit in like a post I made, but the blue fairy is an entity that the blue swordsman... Sorry, I worded that wrong. She doesn't learn it through the blue fairy. She learns it from the blue swordsman, who then learns it from the blue fairy. Oh my god. Okay, so the blue swordsman is like this swordsman who flows like water. He flows like flowing water. And he learns how to combat rot and seal away the god of rot through this relationship with flowing water. And if you actually take a peek down in the underworld, there are two rivers, and one is called Ionsel and one is called Shiofra. And both of them are fairies from Celtic and Scottish folklore. And Ionsel just so happens to reach the border of the Lake of Rot. And between the two, between Ionsel and between the Lake of Rot, there is a dam that's built, and the dam has the same architecture as the Eternal Cities. So it makes me think that there is a relationship between the dancing blue warrior guy and his relationship with understanding how the rivers flow and how they had a relationship with the Lake of Rot. And this dam being built separates the two. It separates the Lake of Rot from spilling out into the Ionsel River. So I find that super fucking interesting because in Celtic folklore, fairies are often found or associated with specific bodies of rivers. Can't talk. And kelpies and like a bunch of other entities too. There's like spiritual beings that will tie themselves to natural landmarks. So if you go to a river, sometimes there will be a spiritual being that's like tied to it. So it makes sense that these two rivers are named after two fairies from these folklore dealies. I might actually do a little playthrough and show y'all playthrough video and show y'all all the footage of like how the rivers intersect, where the dam is located. It's not the dam that's on the surface, it's the dam that's on the bottom side of everything. So there's this relationship with still water and flowing water, and there's actually a teaching by the Buddha about still water and flowing water. And he says that in order for us to achieve enlightenment or to find the path of enlightenment, we have to be experiencing still water and flowing water at the same time. And he makes kind of like a joke. He kind of scoffs and he's like, that's impossible though. Like how would one expect to get there? But that's kind of the difficult. That's the whole reason why you have to study and practice and meditate, is because by having both of these experiences exist within you at the same time, you're able to find you're able to like achieve enlightenment and get there. And it's really cool because this concept of still water and flowing water actually ties back to visual symbolism that's used in Buddhism about the lotus flower. So the lotus flower typically blooms in still water, or water that is very like close to the shore that might have a lot of rot or might have a lot of murky, gross, like dead stuff in it. And lotuses actually like thrive in those environments. They get all their nutrients from that, and they're seen as like a thing that is embodying purification because it's able to get its nutrients from the rot and through all this dead stuff and like arise and grow into this beautiful thing that is actually able to be used in medicine and in food and in like so many different things. It's used for so much. You can eat lotus roots and they're fucking so good. They're the best. I love them. Yeah, there's like lots of different properties of the lotus flower that are super important culturally, and it's really beautiful that Malenia is depicted as this big beautiful flower that gets to rise above the rot, and she learns about being a flowing body of water and a still body of water at the same time, both through her combat and then also through like her bodily conditions. She herself is rotting, but she is flowing like water through her sword play, and it's beautiful, and I think it's lovely. I think it's lovely. I'm sorry about how fucking crazy I am for this video. I hope it was good and that I made any kind of sense. I'm probably going to be super embarrassed uploading this. Whatever, it's been 17 minutes of me going off the walls. Here's a really cool flower of a big red lily dying and a big old golden tree growing out of it, just like how the golden age grows out of the crucible. Also, Miranda, so this is a Miranda powder. The Miranda flower is also red, and the Miranda idol is red, and it looks like the Queen Marika idol, but the Miranda idol was removed from the game's files, so it doesn't matter, and I wasn't going to talk about it, but I love it. Miranda is supposed to be the crucible of flowers. There's so much. There's so much. Oh my god. Okay, I love you guys. Bye.